Last season, Luton Town were being praised from all angles for their efforts to stay in the Premier League. Even though it wasn't successful, they defied a lot of expectation by being competitive and getting some big results along the way. Fast forward to this season though, and everything has spun on its head. Yes, they're still losing a lot of games, but they're back in the Championship and are expected to be competing for promotion this season. Yet they've won just 4 of their first 15 games and only sit outside of the relegation zone on goals scored. So where's it gone wrong? Let's have a look. I'm Dilks from the second tier, and this is what's going on at Luton Town. The first thing that's got to be said is if you told anyone at the end of last season that Luton Town were where they are right now, nearly a third of the way through the season, it would be a massive surprise. And I'm not just saying that because it's a team coming down from the Premier League, and in recent years those teams have tended to do quite well. The reason I'm saying this is because Luton, for many years now, have been one of, if not the best run club in the country. We're all well aware of their journey from non-league to the Premier League right now, but the main reason they've got here is because of the brilliant work by those behind the scenes. Managers and players come and go. However, for nearly 10 years, the club barely put a foot wrong under Chief Exec Gary Sweet. They had their principles and they stuck by them along the way. Every signing was made with a view to that player fitting in with the culture at the club, the system that the manager uses as well, and Luton never broke the bank for a player. Their recruitment was spot on for so many years, despite never having piles and piles of cash. Luton were just so well run prior to their promotion to the Premier League, and it was a safe bet that they would continue to improve on how they did the season before, and they did that for many years. And that's why it was no surprise to see them get to the Premier League eventually. So with them coming back down to the Championship, I had assumed that they would be well prepared to bounce back at the first time of asking. How wrong I was. So let's look at the transfer business. This is who left Luton in the summer. It's not too bad for a relegated side from the Premier League. Ross Barkley is obviously a big one to lose, but I don't think anyone realistically expected him to drop down to the Championship. Ryan Giles barely played in the Premier League before going on loan to Hull. Chidozie Ogbene's a pretty bad loss, but considering they got him on a free a year ago and sold him for £8 million this summer, it's good business. And then Andros Townsend was in and out of the team last season. It's not the end of the world that he was gone. So this is what was left over at Luton. Still a good team, not too different to the one that was promoted to the Premier League actually, although there isn't much depth beyond this team. So what they needed was at least 2 right wing backs, 3 central midfielders, a couple of centre halves, a left wing back and a striker. It sounds like a lot, but if you're going to get promoted then you need a big squad. Here's what Luton actually got. Yeah, certainly not as much as I was expecting, put it that way. Look, Shannon Baptiste is a good player, a very steady signing in midfield. Rule Walters, he's a young right back who never played a game of senior football prior to joining Luton. He's now out for several months because of a foot injury. Mark McGuinness, a very good centre half, but considering they've reportedly spent £10 million on him, it seems fairly steep to say the least. Liam Walsh in midfield. I mean, Liam Walsh was barely playing at Swansea. Could he become a good signing? Maybe, but perhaps not for a side who were hoping to be fighting for promotion. Lamina Fan, they spent £3.5 million on this lad and then sent him back on loan to Sweden. Very strange one. And then Victor Moses, yeah, we all know what Victor Moses is about, but he is 34 in December and wasn't a regular at Spartak Moscow by the time he left. The other player they got was Tim Krause, a German midfielder who's looked a decent player, but he is only on loan. So definitely not as much business as was needed. It left the squad short on depth and not as strong as it probably should be, particularly at right wing back, centre back and central midfield. Having said that, a team with this 11 should still be competing near the top end of the table. So why isn't it? This video is brought to you by our good friends at SBK. If you haven't heard of them yet, then where have you been? SBK's comprehensive range of markets and exclusive offers makes it the best place to bet on the Championship this season. Whether you're creating an accumulator or customising your bet builder, SBK has got you covered. Don't believe us? Sign up today and find out. Well, that brings us on to the manager Rob Edwards. Look, Rob Edwards did brilliantly getting Luton to the Premier League. He really took them to the next level when he came in. Luton was scoring more goals, conceding less, winning more points. They were better in terms of their underlying data as well. And just from the eye test, you can tell they were a stronger side than they were under Nathan Jones. He was a tactically innovative manager who instantly got the culture at Luton Town. Luton performed best as a collective unit who work harder than their opposition. Rob Edwards stuck with that, but a few tactical tweaks made them one of the best teams in the league. He earned a lot of praise for their performances in the Premier League as well, despite their relegation, and it even led to him being linked with Ipswich Town when Kieran McKenna was rumoured to be leaving. So he was coming back down to the Championship as one of the most highly rated managers in the league, but it's not gone well at all. 4 wins, 3 draws, 8 losses. That's the headline here. But when you dig a little deeper, there's a lot of problems. Particularly at the back, only newly promoted Portsmouth have conceded more goals than them so far. And they're happening in all sorts of scenarios as well. No Championship team has conceded more goals from open play, and only 3 teams have conceded more from set pieces. They also have a terrible habit of conceding first, having done it in more than half of their games so far this season. The confusing is they've actually kept a few clean sheets so far. They've got 4, which only 10 teams in the Championship managed more of this season. And in each of those games, they've fully deserved the clean sheet as well. But when it goes wrong, it really goes wrong for Luton Town. No team has conceded 2 or more in a game on more occasions than them. It is worth mentioning they've had plenty of problems with injuries at the back, but considering Luton had the 2nd best defensive record in the Championship in the season they got promoted, it's a real surprise how many times they've been an absolute mess at the back this season. Going forwards is a big problem too, mainly because Luton seem to have completely forgotten how they played when they were last in the Championship. In Luton's promotion, they would be direct without being hoofball. They'd quickly move the ball forwards while mostly keeping it on the ground, and when they would lose the ball, they'd aggressively try to get it back as soon as possible. That's not been the case this season. This season there have been so many games where Luton would be trying cross after cross after cross into the box. Only Coventry have tried more crosses from open play than Luton this season. It's been so unimaginative. What I think has happened is Rob Edwards hasn't adapted his tactics enough to coming back down to the Championship. Luton will try a lot of crosses in the Premier League, and that's fine. They don't have as much creativity as other Premier League sides. Back down in the Championship though, when you're expecting to dominate more games, you need a bit more than just crosses and set pieces. Edwards hasn't been helped either by several players underperforming. Elijah Adebayo and Carlton Morris each scored double figures in the Premier League. It took 6 games for either of them to score this season. Elijah Adebayo has the 3rd highest XG of any player in the Championship when not including penalties, but only has 2 goals to his name so far, so he's missed a hell of a lot of chances. Tariq Chong impressed in the Premier League, but has had several games so far where he's contributed next to nothing. Rob Edwards doesn't seem sure on what his first choice midfield is, having used 7 different players in his midfield too in the first 15 games so far. None of the centre-backs have really come out with any credit so far, considering their defensive record, and Thomas Kaminski also impressed in the Premier League, but he's been at fault for quite a few goals, and only 4 other first-choice keepers in the Championship have a poorer ratio of goals conceded from shots on target. The only player who can definitely come out of this season with any credit so far is Alfie Doherty. The left wing-back has continued his great form from the Premier League. No player has created more chances than him this season, albeit he is on set pieces, and a lot of them have come from them. So a lot has contributed to Luton's terrible start to the season. Now at the time of this video going out, Rob Edwards is still in a job, although it looks to be a matter of when, not if, he leaves Luton this season. And it's a massive shame because he's given Luton fans 2 seasons they'll remember for the rest of their lives. He was the final piece of the puzzle as far as Luton going from non-league to the Premier League was concerned. Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end, but Rob Edwards will still be held in a very high regard, whatever happens to him. As far as this season is concerned, Luton will try to salvage anything they can from it. I don't foresee them staying in the bottom half of the table. Maybe a playoff push is still a possibility, although that's got to be considered a long shot at this stage. Whatever the case, if it is the end for Rob Edwards, whoever Luton get in after him, it's going to be such a big decision for the club hierarchy in getting their remarkable story back on track. So there you have it. This has been what's going on at Luton Town. Do you think they'll get things back on track? Let me know in the comments section below. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure you like and subscribe for more content like this. I've been Dilks from the Second Tier, and we'll be back again very soon.